Hi, I'm Cynthia, and this is Circle of Love. And this month, September, we're going to be working on a hanging mobile. And it's going to incorporate leaves, and we're going to talk about the theme of change. And so I want to show you where I got my inspiration, though, from this for this project. And I often see things out there in the world that I think, oh, that looks so fun to make, or boy, that really reminds me of something. So I'd really want to be able to uh, share also creative things that other people are doing. This is a post by Rebecca Desnos, and this is a while ago. You can see it's dated 2018, but she's got more relevant things, and she's also still very active with her other work that she does. She posted this mobile project that I just loved, and it incorporates, as you can see, a branch with here you see hanging stars, which is a really neat theme. And then here you can see somewhat of a leaf shape that she's used. And this is really the one that I'm interested in. Although the stars are really great, you could use any shape. You can interpret this any way you like. But for me, it's relevant in my life because I've been noticing, of course, the leaves starting to change color, the seasons starting to change. And it makes me feel like maybe I'm not ready. Like I've been already working in one mode or in one season, and now, the world is almost in a way imposing a change on me. And so I have a choice, whether to accept that or whether to try to reject it or whether to fight it. And I'm working really hard to just kind of go with the flow so that these kinds of changes that happen or that occur unexpectedly or maybe even just unwillingly don't turn into things that stop me or halt me or act as barriers in my life. So that's kind of what I'm going with right now. So I want to show you what supplies I have on my desk, and we'll get started. Today I have a blank piece of paper. It happens to be watercolor paper, but really you could use any paper. You really even don't have to have blank paper. Honestly, you could do this with scrap papers or anything else. You decide. I also have watercolors because I just felt like using watercolors today. I have my brush for that and water, and I have my napkins to dry my brush with if I need to. I also have some monofilament as some string, but you can also use yarn or any other string that you prefer. Really, it's just your personal choice. And lastly, you can use glue or even you can use tape. I happen to have tape really handy and it's very clear. So I think I'm just going to go with that. I often don't want to allow some logistics, to slow me down in my playful creative process. And so I just go with what's going to be easiest. So on that note, I am going to work on painting my paper. You can see this one I already have finished. And I just painted both sides. And I chose this kind of a color changing theme. You can do whatever you want, whatever makes sense to you. The reason I did color changing on my paper is because I felt like it was a great representation of the different seasons throughout the year, particularly of leaves, and the way that leaves keep on shifting color. And I just love that. I do actually really enjoy watching that process. So that's one thing that I'm thinking about as a positive aspect of this change that's happening. And I also today was really just wanting to be very loose and playful and like this really quick with my coloring. And I also love the tactile nature of this big, huge brush. Pay attention to those kinds of things also as you're creating, because this process isn't just about, what we're making. It's also about the experience that we're having along the way. So you can see what I'm doing to fill in my page. You can be filling your page in any way you like. Also, you could be using scrap papers that have patterns and designs already on them, okay? And on that note, what I'm going to do is set aside this wet page, and I'm going to bring over here my dry paper that I have already prepared. I also just noticed that I don't have my scissors. I'm going to grab my scissors. And that's also going to be something that we might need. Now, you could be someone who wants to draw out the shape before you cut it. I like to just kind of go straight to cutting just because I really like being more spontaneous about it. That's something that is enjoyable for me, but you can, of course, approach this in whatever way you like. Also, I really like the shape of those leaves that was in Rebecca's mobile, so I'm going to mimic that and I love the shape. I need to add because it made, to me, it made the leaves almost seem like they were dancing, or maybe they were like musical notes and they were in different kind of positions, each one was, and so it just kind of gave me that sense or that feeling of music as well. So I just love the gesture of them. So this is the shape I'm using. And what I'm going to do is cut out several of them. And you don't have to use this shape, and you can decide whatever works best for you. I'm also going to be trying to use as much of my paper as I can, which is why I'm cutting it in such a way that one leaf just kind of comes and nests right into the other, just to really maximize the paper or the amount of leaves, there we go, that I have. So after I finish that, I'm going to go ahead and start here in the next zone of color that I have on my paper. And I can be paying attention to the shape as I cut, or I can just cut freely and just let it end up however it wants to on its own. Okay. Well, you can see I have a few here, and I still have plenty of room to keep going and to make more, but I'm really excited to get started on attaching these leaves together. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, let me switch back over. That's right, a branch. So here's my branch in position. I have it actually mounted right now on my whiteboard just to kind of help me in the process of tying the string on, and then also getting to see how my leaves are hanging on there. Okay, so you might want to find a place that you can kind of hang your branch, and I'll show you. Actually, let's go ahead and do it now. I'm gonna attach a string like this from 2 points on my branch, and that way it ends up being more of a triangular type of a hanging system, because that just kind of helps stabilize it. It's a little bit of an easier balancing act, I should say. And I just love also, again, using all these concepts that we're talking about in our art and applying them to life, to our life, situations. Always looking at how we can practice what we're doing in the problem solving or the troubleshooting that we're doing in our art, apply it to life and to our situations in our life as well. So practicing this kind of balancing in our mobile can help us also just kind of shift our mindset a little bit when it's time to have to try to find ways we need to balance or get better balance in our lives. All right, I am working right now. I'm going to I'll show you how I'm doing this on my work surface. So I'm using my monofilament because I really like the idea of the leaves being just floating without being able to see the support that they're floating with. And that will just add to the very delicate nature of it. If you're using string, then you're doing the same thing. You're just tying a section onto your branch. Okay, and you can decide how long you want your leaf strings to be. You might want a shorter mobile, you might want a longer mobile, might want to vary the lengths of your strings, and that works also. So I think what I'm going to do is start by applying, I know I said I was actually going to work on applying the top hanging piece, but I changed my mind, and that's something that you can also do when you need to change your mind. And so I think I decided to change my mind because I'm just really excited to see how these leaf strings hang. All right, I'm having this monofilament, I'm having to kind of triple knot so it stays actually knotted. You can see here's my second piece. I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna add a third piece. You know, I've actually really been wanting to make a mobile, and I hadn't been sure for a while just what type of mobile I wanted to make or what would be the theme for my mobile. And not that there has to be a theme, but it's just something that I happen to prefer when I am working on something creative. I like to apply a theme. It just makes more sense to me. It gives it more purpose and meaning. And then as I'm working on it, I like to meditate on those ideas, on the idea, for example, here of change. And I'm thinking about all the things that have been going on in my life that have been changing or shifting. Some things that I have, some changes that were by design that I intentionally and deliberately made, maybe in my schedule or in my routines or in my habits. And then maybe some changes that have happened upon me that have just kind of been things that I have to figure out how I'm going to maneuver now that they have occurred. So I am going to hang this, or actually before I hang it, I will now attach. It might be a little tricky to see, but here's one. And then in the middle, I have a second one. And then here on the other end, I have a third string, okay, that's hanging down where the leaves will be attached. Now I'm going to work on adding that top hanging string. Let's see, and I thought I might want to do it with that thick yarn that I showed you a minute ago, but I think I do want to continue with the monofilament, just going to keep that theme going. And so I cut myself a section of this monofilament. I'm going to go ahead and attach both or tie on both ends. So I'm going to one end and I'm tying that one on. And I gotta have this stuff, I have to triple knot. So let me do one more knot here. Okay, and then I'm going to take the other end and tie it over towards the other end of the, there we go, of the branch. And you might want to go all the way to the end of the branch, or you might want to stop just short of that, or you might want to scoot in a little bit. That placement really is just up to you. It could possibly make a difference with the way that it hangs. And so that's just something that you'll want to observe and then adjust if needed. And again, that is another way that we're practicing some adjusting, some adaptation, some troubleshooting, okay, when there is a change or that is needed. Okay, it is time for me to come hang this over onto my board. So I'm going to show you, how this hangs right now. And it's probably hard for you to see that I have it hanging from my clear monofilament here. Okay, and right now I do have, here's one of my clear strings, here's another one of my clear strings, and then a third one here. So what I'll do is I'll tape one of my leaves on so you can see onto the string, that is, so that you can see that it's there. I think I'll tape it on this side. There we go. There's one of them right there. While that one's hanging, I'm going to work actually to add a little bit of maybe some writing here on these leaves that remind me of things that I want to remember. It's almost like notes to self. It's almost like something that I want to be able to just get better at, but not really traits or habits of mine, more just when thinking about change, what are ways that I can shift my mindset to a positive aspect of change. And so colors, I'm going to put colors because one of the things that I love I do love about the change of seasons is the colors. I think something I don't love about the change of seasons is the temperature. Often it kind of gets a little bit cold for me to, I prefer the warmer climates, but I don't have a choice of that right now. So I'm going to focus on what are the things I do love about it. So I put colors on that one. This one, I think it's going to say, ooh, now that we're getting in over here where I am, which is in near Seattle, Washington, I am getting into some cooler weather. So that gives me the chance to bundle up. And that makes me think of not only being cozy, bundled up, but also prepared. When there's change that is occurring, it's helpful to look at what is this change going to need? What am I going to need now to withstand this change? And so being prepared for the change, or at least tackling the change with preparation. In this case, bundling up. For me, that would be something that I would consider doing. If I'm thinking about the change of the season and the things that I sometimes don't enjoy about it, because it also sometimes maybe makes me feel like time is passing so quickly. Then I think about, well, holidays. Holidays are often revolving around the changes of the seasons, and or just passing of time. And I just love holidays. Holidays are so fun. And sometimes those are not a fun thing, that it might not be a fun thing for you in your life. So you're looking at for things that are going to be positive, that are in fact enjoyable. You choose and you decide what that is. So looking at some of the things I've written, I'm thinking about what else can I record for myself about change. And when I wrote down bundle up, that was the topic of being prepared. I like the words get prepared there. I like that. That for me makes sense in my brain, that it triggers me to take positive action, to minimize discomfort, to minimize negative aspects of the situation, and to really, look for the tools that I'll need to get me through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these now that I've worked on them, and I'm going to go ahead and start adding them. Now, what I had in my mind, and the reason why I had the different colors, is because I do want mine to be a bit more colorful, I should say. But you might prefer a white or a very mild color scheme. It just depends on what your preference is. And here you can see my leaves, some of them starting to hang and dangle. On purpose, I'm going to apply some that are maybe at an angle, so that they have more of that playful or dancing kind of a look to them, or feel to them. And I'm just putting the second one over here on this string. Okay, you can see now how they are starting to collect. What I'll do with this mobile is I'll hang it here probably in the studio, but as a reminder of, the thoughts that I had, the realizations I came to, the reminders for myself of what I can do when this change is occurring that I may not be ready for, or that maybe I did not welcome, or maybe I did not invite, or maybe I did not even imagine. And it kind of feels challenging, or it feels difficult, it feels uncomfortable, it feels awkward, feels scary. It could be anything that can make us feel that way as well when thinking about change. And what I'll do is continue adding my leaves. I would go back to my paper, my colored paper, and I'm going to continue cutting more and adding them, just placing them so that I end up with a very colorful, dangly, playful, dancing kind of effect on my mobile. I invite you to continue and keep working on yours. I'm going to keep working on mine. And if you finish, as always, feel free to email me your photo of your completed project. And my email is Cynthia, that's CYNTHIA, at heart, HEART, art, A-R-T, healing, HEALING.com. I hope you enjoyed this project. I know I've been really looking forward to working on this and not only creating something that I can display and that can be decorative, but also that's meaningful and that gives me a chance to really think about the idea of change in new ways, or even if it's something that is enjoyable to you, if this particular change that might be happening in your life is something that is very enjoyable, then celebrate that. Then still record all the different wonderful things about it. It's just really great to take time to explore these things in your lives a little bit more deeply. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I really appreciate your time, and I'm sending you lots of love for Circle of Love. Hope to see you next time.